Alright, we're going to create a pocket. Now, sometimes people get confused because they're getting taught to go to the absolute axis and let's say I want to make a pocket on the top surface here. They pick the XY plane and go to sketch. If you're here and you go to sketch and create your rectangle, so you're going to make a pocket in here. When I exit out, I get an error because I did that legacy preferences turning this on. It didn't like it because it wasn't fully constrained. So I'm just going to turn it off for now just so you can get concepts here. Let's go into that sketch and then exit out again. Okay. See, that sketch should be on the top of this face if you want to constrain a pocket on the top of that face. So this sketch would be a bad technique. You don't want to pick on the XY plane of the absolute axis. That's why I hide that so I don't even accidentally do anything like that. I'm working on the local part. Another technique people will use is they go to sketch and pick the top face and select OK, which it'll work. I'm going to go ahead and create a rectangle. I'll highlight this whole thing. And change this to auto constrain and select OK. Notice it does some weird things on the dimensioning here. I don't want to dimension off these angles. Okay. So I'd have to delete that, and then I got to reinsert the constraint from this edge to locate it. All right, and then I got to recreate another constraint from this edge to this edge, or what would be better is to this face. So you really link to the whole face, that planar face, rather than to just an edge. Anyways, I'm going to go back to View and hit ISO View and hit Exit. And I will use the Pocket command. So under the Model tab, the pad feature has an arrow to the right that allows us to do pads or pockets. I'm going to do a pocket command, and I'm going to give it a depth of 0.5 and hit preview. So it's got a little pocket 1/2 inch, and all that will basically work for the most part. But a better technique, and a technique that I would consider more professional technique, someone that has a lot more skills on this, not just hacking at this. I'm going to delete that and say OK. I'm going to delete the sketch and say OK. How I would do this is I would create a local axis, position axis. So under axis system, I can click on this line here for my X vector and this line here for my Y vector. And my H and V's are inverted, so I'm going to reverse those. So that H is going along here and V is going along here. I will select OK. Now for some reason vertical is upside down, so I just hit normal to view. Vertical's right side up, but I want to go horizontal to the left because that's just how I'm used to looking at it. So I'm going to hit sketch, and I'm going to go ahead and create that pocket again. Only this time, that yellow axis system is a position axis on the part. So I'm going to click off in no man's land, highlight everything, and go to auto constrain. Dang it. Auto constrain. I unhighlighted everything. Let's try it again. I'm going to highlight everything, and I'm going to hit the down arrow and look for auto constrain. When I hit auto constrain, I can just say OK, and it's just going to dimension it perfect for me. It's going to control the size of the rectangle, Okay, and technically these should be brought down to 3/8 to half inch off the part. So I'll just approximate that. And this view here should be chained up with, or this constraint here should be chained up with this one. Okay, so you should line up these nice and pretty, get them all lined up. And I actually would have the number on the outside. Okay, I would bring this number on the outside. Now you've got your sketch properly constrained to the part is located to a corner of the part. So whatever happens to that part, if it grows or changes, it's going to go and change with it. I'll exit out, and again I'm going to use the pocket command. Notice that sketch 4 was the highlighted sketch. It by default stayed highlighted when I exited out of sketch. When I do a pad this time, instead of keying in a depth, I'm going to say up to plane for a type. So I'm going to select up to plane, and I'm going to rotate this around. I'm going to grab the bottom of that part. Now it goes right to the bottom of that part. Now if I say offset 0.5 and hit preview, it actually goes a half inch past the part. So I'm going all the way to the bottom of the plane minus whatever I want. So I'm going to type in minus 1.5 and hit tab and preview that. Now I can see a pocket that's going to go 1.5 inches from the bottom. So when I select OK, why would I use that technique? I'm going to change my viewing so you can see the pocket to hidden lines. Okay. Now the advantage of using that technique is if I double click on this and I change that to 3 inches tall, what I'm doing there is I'm maintaining the wall or the bottom plate thickness. That would be from the bottom surface here to the bottom surface here. I'm maintaining that to always be 1.5 inches no matter how far up and down I go. Okay, so again, if I change this to 2 inches for the height, it's going to make sure that the pocket is still 1.5 inches from the bottom of that. So I know I've got at least 1.5 inches material. All right, so if you're looking for minimum distance, like you know you don't want to be more than 1/4 inch from the bottom, you can set it to be off the bottom. And then you'll know no matter what you do that you'll always have 1/4 inch material from the bottom of the pocket to the bottom of the part. So I demonstrated 2 ways to do that. When you create your pad, you have an option of offset and just key in the offset you want. That would be using dimension, and it will measure it from the top down. Or in my case, I used up to plane, and I grabbed the bottom of the plane and had it offset a negative distance, whatever I want. So again, if I change that to -1/2, I know that the part is 1/2 inch off the bottom no matter what I do to it. If I make this thing ridiculously tall, 6 inches tall, and say OK, that pocket is only 1/2 inch from the bottom no matter what. Okay, I'm going to set this back to 2.5 inches tall, and say OK. And I'm going to double click the pocket. So if you ever want to change the pocket, you just double click it. I'll set that back to 1.5 inches. I think I'm going to do something like, actually I'm going to change this to go back to what it was, just to go dimension. And this time I'm 1/2 inch deep, and I'll go 1/4 inch deep. So in this example, I went 1/4 inch off the bottom. Okay, so that is your quick tips on how to do pocketing.